August 2025, Canadian car sales are crashing. We haven't seen numbers like this since 2010. When dollar volumes, sales, and an average transaction prices of new vehicles crash simultaneously, that usually signals a recession. Things haven't been looking good for some time in Canada, with increased cost of buying a lot of new vehicles, of course tariffs, as well as the poor dollar value compared to relative to the US side of the border. It's quite clear less and less people are feeling the need to buy a new car. Now, a lot of these new cars, of course, are going up in price. Technology, performance, full-size trucks, EVs are all driving up the price. We can't forget about greedflation and the sheer fact that a lot of these OEMs are pushing prices every single year upon year. As well, we see the same kind of problem in the housing market, crashing, car market, crashing, cost of food and living is all crashing. People are out of money. They've finally seen, and this is it. We've finally rang the bell, and the toll says we're in a rough state in Canada. Generally speaking, durable goods, one that we call either housing or cars. Goods that typically last for a significant period of time. You buy a house, it lasts for 50 years if you take care of it. You buy a car, it could last for 10, 20, 30 years if you take care of it. They're considered durable goods. And when durable goods do well in an economy, it generally signals things are good. People are buying goods, they last a long time, but when there's a lot of frequency in purchasing, it's a sign that the economy overall is doing well. But things have been changing in the last couple of years. And what we've seen now, foreign markets are getting shy. If foreign investments don't want to buy products in Canada, they don't want to invest in business in Canada, they don't want to buy real estate, they don't want to buy business. A lot of businesses, small, medium, and large, find themselves moving outside of the country. What we're seeing now today, we're seeing because of what? Tariffs and some of the other impacts that we're seeing in Canada are now Brampton's plant for Stellantis is going bye-bye. As a matter of fact, a lot of the workers now just got their walk-in papers that what we're seeing, a lot of these vehicles are going to be built south of the border. Obviously, with some of these vehicles trading hands, a lot more money, tariffs are a big impact, but the cost of doing business is going to be lower for American manufacturers to build cars down in the States. Hence, there looks to be a $13 billion investment in the US to move a lot of those manufacturing from Stellantis products down south of the border. Where does that leave a lot of the workers, the car workers in Canada? Well, kicking horse turds and looking for a new job. The same thing goes for what we've seen with Ford, and on top of it, specifically even GM, where they've been closing plants or temporary layoffs, are all signifiers in some of the most hot spots in Canada, Toronto and those areas. When they start giving a lot of those jobs away or a lot of those jobs start disappearing, that's a surefire indicator that things aren't well. Stats Canada indicates that in August, we've seen one of the biggest declines in car sales since 2010. We think back to 2008, things weren't looking so rosy there either. As a matter of fact, we're down 7.1%, down to about 167,000 units sold in the month of August. And when you compare that to the month of July before, it's almost a 1% drop from month to month. And then a year earlier, it's down over 2% drop. So a clear indication that things are starting to fall off the edge. Spending on new vehicles is falling fast at an alarming rate. As well, in August, the total dollar volume is actually down about 1.7% since last year, even though it's relatively holding steady right now. And the average transaction price in Canada now is about $54,800. In the US, it's about 49 grand. In Canada, it's slightly higher, but it's down over 2.1% as a matter of fact since the same time last year. The sales prices, the average transaction price has been dropping. That's an indication that buyers are choosing smaller, more economical vehicles. EVs, sales are down. Those are generally high priced. Full-size trucks, sales are down. Full-size SUVs, sales are down. Rather, I'm seeing more and more cars, smaller cars, subcompact cars, subcompact SUVs are all scouring all over the roads. But that's only for those that can afford them. Many other people are electing to just fix what they've got. Throw a new set of rubbers on their old truck and hope for the best, and hopefully they can get another, 2 or 3 years out of their vehicle. Clear indications that all is not well. And the choice to buy smaller, more economical vehicles shows in the fact that we've seen an 8.2% decrease from December of 24 to August of 2025, a sign that, again, people are choosing cheaper, more cost-effective vehicles when they actually decide to buy a new vehicle. The worst part is, I was out for a walk today and I saw a gentleman there sleeping, passed out. I hope not even worse, laying there in the ditch. And there's more and more of this we're seeing all across Canada. And for anybody who's in the area, you live in the big cities, Toronto, Vancouver, look even in the Calgarys, the Edmontons, look in some of those big cities in Canada, and you're going to find more and more homeless, more and more people unemployed. Unemployment rates on the rise. So when they ask the question, why aren't people buying cars? Well, ask yourself the question, where are the jobs? Because not only are we seeing automotive jobs being shipped off overseas or across the border, like we're seeing it from Brampton to south of the border, we're also seeing less and less overall jobs as a whole. There's way more people, way more people looking for work, but less opportunities. On top of it, we're saying that the average young worker, or somebody that's essentially in that 15 to 25 years of age, is now up to about a 25% unemployment rate. When you compare that to even the average unemployment rate across Canada, peaking around 8 or 9%, that's kind of bleak numbers. So when you're almost 1 in 10 people are looking for work, and the rest of them that are working can barely make ends meet and can barely afford that $58 chunk of steak, then it begs a question. Where are people spending their money? Well, it's not on cars. And so when we talk about recession, yeah, there's a whole storm that has to build up, and we can table it or we can label it in any which way. But at the end of the day, you look around and how many new cars are on the road versus how many slightly older cars, rusty cars, repurposed cars that probably aren't even roadworthy. There's more and more and more of this every single day. But again, as always, please drop a line. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Are we in fact going into a recession? Certainly in Canada, things aren't looking all that great right now. And all of the key indicators are there as more and more people are on the roadside begging for cash. There's more people, of course, unemployed, less people buying cars and big houses. House prices are going down. Cost of new food is going up. What about on the U.S. side of the border? I'd like to hear your thoughts too. I don't want to exclude you because I know things are tough there too, and it's tough all over. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Anyway, as always, everybody, have a wonderful day. See you then. Bye-bye.